I'm Heather Ferguson, and you have found a Sonar Moment.
I'm a hippie, corporate hippie.
We're aware of the risks, but we're willing to ignore them for the moment.
I don't have to be the smartest guy in the room.
That a complaint is actually a request.
It's the Sonar Moment, a monthly interview with CEOs from the Pacific Northwest. We're here at the beautiful Alex Goulden Hall in Victoria, Canada, and with me today is Mark Grambart, President, Contech Enterprises. And Mark is in the business of pests and home and garden and pets, things we all know about. But the first thing I want to ask you about, Mark, tell me about Mercedes Benz.
It was amazing. I got to work in research, in development, in marketing, in business development and production in Germany, in South Africa, doing projects in the US, doing projects in Latin America. It was just awesome. It was a ton of fun.
But you still came back to the West Coast?
I did, in sort of not quite the direct route. It came via Switzerland and 3 different states and a bit of time in Atlanta, Georgia. So,
really?
Yeah, so straight home was really what happened.
So you were looking for a business to buy, and you ended up with Contech. Now, tell me, how did that happen?
Well, the original plan was come back to the West Coast and find a business to buy and run. And at the time, I was looking for something that was quite a bit larger than Contech. And I thought I'd end up in Vancouver. If that didn't work, Seattle or Portland. And if that didn't work, I'd answer headhunter calls west of Denver. So I came in, and I knew 2 people in Victoria through my mother. And so I went and had a coffee with those 2 people. And they introduced me to 3 people each, and Victoria is a great community, and these people just kept on introducing me into more people and more people, and after 2 months, I think I had about 60 meetings, and there were 3 different opportunities, and found Contech as one of them, and it was a great opportunity. I got to become a partner with the founder and take the business and grow it from there.
And that just really spoke to a sense of entrepreneurialism that you had, didn't it? It really, you told me you really felt that you had that itch.
Yeah, I mean, I was so fortunate in my last job in Atlanta. I was running 10 plants and mines for a specialty chemicals company, a ton of people, and it was really great. But I wanted to try and be an entrepreneur and I guess bet on myself.
Yeah.
And it's worked out.
It's worked out. How many years has it been now?
That was in 2004, so
Yeah.
going on 10 years.
You actually had mentioned to me that you define yourself by your markets. Tell me a little bit about how that works.
Sure. So we really have garden and pet was the original Contech, and they had 1 product in each, and they were great products. And what we wanted to do is build a company from that base. One of the ways we were building it is by introducing new products that we develop ourselves, and another way is by acquiring other companies that are complementary to those products and markets. So we would focus in on those markets and how could we grow. We've bought a number of different companies. Most of those companies, 75% of them, tie in very nicely of those companies, but 25% of the companies takes you into a new market. So that's how we got into forest pest management, from just managing pests in your garden. Yeah. And it's sort of grown over time from there.
It's such a diverse group, and I keep wondering to myself, as a leader, how do you keep everybody focused and on message when you've got so many different markets, so many different products that you're putting out?
Well, there's a couple of things. So one is you don't want everybody saying the same thing to all the customers because the customers are different. Yeah. So understanding how you modify is very important. But also, you know, it's our culture and what binds us. We are driven, we're passionate about what we do, we've got high integrity, we believe in teamwork. Those are the things that we bring together as a company, and that goes across markets.
Give me some example of that, because let's face it, Mark, I mean, those are values that most companies have. We're driven, we're passionate, we believe in teamwork. Tell me a company that doesn't have that. So give me some examples of that.
Okay, I'll give you an example of that's something that happened last week. We're at a trade show, and many people go to trade shows, and trade shows are a great way to meet a lot of customers. Our trade show was in Las Vegas. A lot of people go to trade shows in Las Vegas and have sort of 2 lives. They have their trade show life and their nightlife. We're maybe not as fun as some companies.
Oh, come on, I don't think that's true at all.
It might be, but we believe that an hour at a trade show is worth 8 hours in a regular day. So what we do is after the trade show's done, we go back to the room and we respond to every single customer that we met that day with an email. And that email our marketing team helps us by creating pre-writing that email that allows us to really have a rich conversation. And what happens is on day 2, the person will actually respond and say, hey, I got your email, that's great, I'll come by your booth. And you start having the first 2 or 3 steps of the sales process, where most people wait till they get back the next week and they're looking through their cards trying to remember who this person was, and your memory's just so much better. So that's perhaps hard work. But the teamwork element of it is we go to one room, we sit down as a group, you know, there might be some beer involved, and we just sort of make it a good time and we enjoy it. So you have to work hard and play hard, and we enjoy that.
You're also running into a situation now where you have really offices across North America, don't you? Grand Rapids, New Brunswick. You've got something in
San Diego.
San Diego, but then there's something else in Canada, in Alberta.
No, in Delta.
Delta, that's
so
right.
just outside of Vancouver.
That's
and
right.
then here in Victoria. So
Yeah.
yes, we have a number of different offices, and managing that is quite different. You know, if you have one location, it's very easy to sort of manage the culture and lead by example.
Yeah.
Leading through communications when you have a diverse audience and diverse workforce becomes a little more interesting.
Well, you start to use Skype a lot, do you?
Exactly. Lots of go-to meetings,
Yeah.
phone conferences. You know, at the trade show I was just at that I was mentioning, we brought a lot of different people from different areas together,
Yeah.
and it's a great opportunity to see people face to face.
Yeah. I want to talk, one of the things you mentioned in passing was part of your growth strategy, which is to acquire new companies. And I wanted to just ask you a little bit about how you evaluate a new acquisition. What are you looking for? And I wanted to also get a sense of how they evaluate you. Because it's a two-way street, isn't it, an acquisition?
It very much is. So, well, it's especially a two-way street if you're not just showing up with a couple bags of money and then they walk away and you're left with whatever's left over. But that's really not what we do. Our most successful acquisitions, the people become part of Contech, and they contribute to the story of what Contech is as we go. So what we look for are companies that are in similar markets. So if we sell to this buyer at Canadian Tire, somebody else that sells to that same buyer at Canadian Tire, we'd love to do that. And same thing in our other markets.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to use our go-to-market strategy for the new company. Then the next thing we look for is, are these really good products?
Yeah.
When I first bought Contech and bought into Contech, it was based on the quality of the products.
Yeah.
You know, I mentioned that I worked for Mercedes before, quality product. So I was late at night at Contech trying to figure out, should I buy this company or not, looking at Excel, bunch of numbers, blurred eyes, and I just had to procrastinate. So I got up, stretched, walked around, and saw a big pile of warranty cards. These are cards that end consumers fill out and say that whether or not they like the product.
Yeah.
And I just kept reading them. 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10,
Yeah.
9 out of 10. Customers love the products, and that's where you can build a company.
Yeah.
When you have great products and you understand the market, good things happen.
Based on your experience, how are the other companies evaluating you?
Good question.
Yeah.
So I think they look at us and they say, okay, this company is maybe 4 times, 5 times, 10 times larger than us, so they might have some skills, but they still look at us not as this, or I don't believe they look at us as this big, monolithic, massive company. We're still very entrepreneurial. You know who the people are that are going to be working with you.
Yeah.
And so they get that feeling of they have the systems and processes to help us grow, but they're not too bureaucratic. And I think that's kind of the magic of where
They're not a
people-
Mercedes Benz. They're not
Exactly.
a huge multinational corporation.
Exactly.
But they're bigger than me, and they have systems and processes that can help my business.
Exactly, and usually a lot of these companies, there's a really strong entrepreneur who might have a huge strength in one area, but might have some weaknesses in some other areas. And maybe we have the ability to shore up some of those weaknesses and really allow them to do what they do really well.
Yeah, yeah. When you're bringing these entrepreneurs into your company, integrating them, I mean, I know a few entrepreneurs, 1 or 2, and they're stubborn, they can be visionary, they're very independent, and you're bringing them into a company that's larger than one that they've probably worked in before. So what happens then?
And we're bringing more than one of them in.
And more than one of them in.
And maybe I might be one too.
And maybe you might be one too.
Sounds like a disaster waiting to happen.
I don't know. I mean, how do you incorporate them into the culture, or is that such an intrinsic part of the culture?
It really depends on the person and the role. So understanding what their unique strengths are, whether they're really great at sales and marketing, whether they're great at operations, whether they're good at new product development, finding that and what they're good at and giving them the opportunity to do a lot of that. Because the people that we talk to, they've taken an idea typically and built it to 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 million in sales. Those people are amazingly talented. Yeah. They might have a flat side. They might not be able to do a few things well. Don't ask them to do that. Yeah. Find the role where they can do it well. And they want to grow companies, yeah. And we want them to grow companies. Yeah. And that's really what we've done, and it really comes down to the individual and figuring out what works for them.
Is that actually, when you think about it, is that not human resources 101? Play to somebody's strengths, shore up weaknesses where needed or where desired, but really play to their strengths. Let them do what they love to do and do well.
Yes. I think there's a lot of similarities between how we help develop our team and how we work with entrepreneurs. And as with anything, it becomes interdisciplinary, and you sort of blend it together and taking strengths from one area to another. So, good observation.
So if somebody came to you and said, Mark, you've done a fabulous job, I want to buy Contech, what would be your response?
It depends. I think, I love what I'm doing. I'm having a great time. I could see myself doing this for another 10 years. But I could also see somebody coming in and saying, no, we want to take Contech and take it to the next level. And I have a responsibility to the shareholders to listen to those conversations. I don't think that's the likely outcome in the immediate future, but I'd be happy to have that conversation. Are you interested?
You're just going to keep harvesting entrepreneurs, aren't you?
I think so. It's a ton of fun.
It's a ton of fun. Mark, thank you so much for this. We really appreciate you coming today.
Thank you very much. It's been great.